All right. I'm going to call to order the Raymore Park Board meeting for Tuesday, October 25th, 2016. I need a roll call.
Member Castleman.
Present.
Member Sapola.
Present.
Member Eastwood.
Present.
Member Heath.
Present.
Member Manson.
Present.
Member Seamers.
Present.
Member Troutman.
Present.
Members Harris and Howdy Shell are absent.
All right, thank you. I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right. Personal appearances, I have none. Next is acceptance of the minutes.
I move that we accept the September 27, 2016 minutes.
Second.
All right. Motion's been made and second. Any discussion or corrections in the minutes? All right. In that case, all those in favor? It passes. Committee reports. All right, Finance Committee did not meet, neither did Grounds. However, Recreation Committee did meet on October 11th. Staff.
Thank you, sir. I'll call on Mr. McLean to report on the Recreation Committee.
Thank you, sir. Recreation Committee met on the 11th of October. We went over a few different things. A lot of it was kind of a year-end wrap-up since this year, or since October is the end of our fiscal year. So we did a couple things. We introduced the athletic coordinator, which I will do later in this meeting as well. He is on board and has been for about a month and a half now. So we introduced him to the committee so that they knew who he was. We went through the project of the shade structures. We went through the timeline, where we're currently at with the ball season, when that project is going to start. Superintendent Rulo assisted with that in discussing when the start date's going to be held. And so Member Heath did note that he's heard a lot of comments on it and there's a lot of excitement, so we're looking forward to it as well. So it's good that he heard that. And then, like I stated, we did go over where the current fiscal year program revenues were, what we're projecting for the rest of this remainder of the year as of October 31st. And then we went into some discussion items with current programs, what we're looking at changing over the next fiscal year, and what our winter plans are for preparing for spring and summer, and a lot of those programs that have a big kickoff and needed some adjustments. So that was the majority of our meeting was just goals and outlines of what we had done and what we're looking at doing moving into the future. So at this time, I could take any questions.
Any questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Mustang?
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'll call on Mr. McLean again to do the Recreation staff report for the month.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so I just mentioned that we, in the Recreation Committee, we introduced Michael Hedrick, our new athletic coordinator, and he is here with us tonight. He is sitting behind me. I can feel his eyes back of my head. So anyway, for those of you who have not met Mr. Hedrick, he is sitting here in the room tonight. Wanted to put a face to the name so you guys would be able to see him, and then that way he could see you guys. He will be moving forward. We will be having them do both coordinators, Recreation Coordinator Keith and Athletic Coordinator Hedrick will be doing activity summary reports to the board, probably about quarterly, so I'll be asking them to do summaries of what activities they're doing on each season. So wanted to introduce him. I'm still scrolling to find my report. I'm sorry. As you can see, I've submitted a report in this packet. A lot of the work this month has been leading up for our big Harvest Night event that is going to be Friday night. This is a very big event for staff as well as the community. It's one of our, what I would call, heavy hitters for the Recreation Division. We have a haunted trail. Superintendent Rulo and myself will be the tour guides for that trail. We're glad to see Mr. Rulo back to that position this year. Last year he was unfortunately not able to attend, but I think he's looking forward to it. We walk the kids through. We do groups of 10. We have some volunteers that help with that. We've extended the hayride to go through the forest this year, so that's going to be a new exciting element, so we want to touch base on that. But I got to give a lot of credit to Superintendent Rulo and his crew. The park crew have been working very hard, especially this last week. He'll probably touch on that in his report, but I got to give him credit because without the effort of those guys, this event would not be what it is. So big thanks to them. We've been having meetings leading up to that. On the athletic side, we have been already starting to prepare for basketball, winter basketball. We've been winding down the fall sports. Flag football ended with a tournament on Saturday. Baseball and softball are ending currently while we're in this meeting. And then soccer and volleyball will have their tournaments this weekend. So fall sports is wrapping up. Coordinator Hedrick has been overseeing those, been site supervising, been out there prepping the tournaments. So we've been working hand in hand with that. Also, to go back, my apologies, but to go back to the basketball, we met with the basketball coach, Scott Germain, varsity coach for Ray Peck High School. And each year I've met with him since I've been here. This year we discussed possibly doing our coaches clinic. He's interested with he and his staff to do a coaches clinic for our coaches. So we're working on some new elements for the basketball program. Also working on, currently we're programming. We've been in discussions with doing a new futsal program. We kind of finalized those plans today, and so we're looking at doing a pickup futsal league, just kind of a come and pay and play type of scenario for Friday evenings. So we're working on the logistics of that. We would like to encourage everybody to check out Facebook, because as soon as we have all the little final touches done, we should be posting that tomorrow. And so if you guys check that out, that will give us all the details there. And then finally, men's softball, it will be weather permitting. We'll have our 15-team tournament November 6th. So that's what's going on in our world, and at this time I'd be glad to entertain any questions.
Any questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Director Musting.
Thank you, sir. I'll call on Superintendent Rulo for the Parks report.
Thank you. I submitted a written report, but there are a couple items that have come up since I've turned this in, and a couple that I want to just bring up, and I'll bring them up first. The two big ones are a big thank you out to Matthew Rhodes and Alex Albee. They have completed their Eagle Scout projects in the last 2 weeks, both of them out at Recreation Park. Alex Albee, he cleared a bunch of the underbrush that was inside where our new fort is, and it's going to allow us to extend the fort by, I'd probably say 60 yards, so the kids can go and play. There was a bunch of feet. There was a bunch of all just junk trash that was in there that trees have been growing through. They came in, cut those down, moved everything out, and then also made a sitting circle with some very nice stumps inside the fort. So it's going to add a lot, and it's going to add to the future of the fort in there for all the kids. Then Matthew Rhodes in the back south parking lot of Recreation Park, he took 4 of those islands that were just kind of, grass never took. It was hard to grow something back there with all the heat. He took those and planted each of them with, there's 4 islands. 2 of them were planted in Indian grass, and 2 of them are planted in prairie dropseed, I do believe. So they're native plants. They can take the heat. They mulched it. They laid cardboard down as a weed mat beforehand that will be biodegradable in a year or 2. Really looks nice. I would recommend going out and taking a look at it, because when you do that, you can also see our parking lot at Rec Park has been striped, both front and back park. They just finished it today. They did an excellent job, so we're too bad that it's the end of the season, but it does look nice. And then the other thing, like John said, the crew members have been working real hard on harvest night, building bridges, getting things ready to roll for Friday, trying to bring the creativity out of some maintenance guys to scare people is sometimes a little difficult, but I think they're getting pretty excited about it. And then just plan on hooking up with Richard Hamilton with Shade Structures, hopefully this week, to make sure everything's ready to roll as soon as the Adult Softball League is over, and start off on a good note with the Shade Structures project. On that note, I'll take any questions.
Thanks, sir. I as well have prepared a written report. I will highlight a couple things, and then the bulk of what I've been doing day to day is in your packet, so I'll keep my report kind of short and sweet. First and foremost, Steve and I got to attend the NRPA conference, that was National Parks and Recreation Conference in St. Louis this year. Excellent conference, can't say enough about that. The exhibit hall, and I believe Steve would agree with me, was by and large the most fun we've had in an exhibit hall, because we have projects that actually can pertain to things that they're selling. So it was really neat to be able to talk and converse with those guys on things that are within our grasp, as opposed to other years where you're really just kind of talking to them, wishing you could do it. So change a whole different element, and almost like we had said, like we've arrived. It was nice. So we appreciate the fact that you guys see the need for those training sessions and make that a priority for us, and we don't take that lightly, so thank you for that. Yesterday morning at 9 o'clock, we had the ribbon cutting for the fort. We had about 25 people there, probably. Very nice little event. Lowe's, can't say enough about the work that they did out there. The fort exists because of what Lowe's did out there. Like Steve talked about, the Eagle Scout project come in behind and did some cleanup work and added some extras to it. Just really set this up for a neat place that's kind of low maintenance and high profile, and which is exactly what we want. And like I said to the folks there yesterday, we just wanted a place for kids to be kids. It's not structured, it's not built and manufactured and brought in and installed. It's just there to create imaginative place. So neat amenity. We look forward to continuing to add to that year after year. This past week we've done some interviews for the Hawk Ridge Park project, which I'll address in a moment. Ms. Nab and I, Greta, we've been working on the bricks, the honor bricks. We had the park staff and John help us arrange getting them delivered. They are now at the engravers, should have them by the end of the week for Steve's guys to install. So that first round is complete, or first year, inaugural year is complete. I know Steve and I will be working with the two families that purchased memorial benches. He's got them assembled, ready to install, so we'll get that taken care of. And then now that it's fall tree planting season, the Lions Club tribute tree will also be planted. So that program is ending its first year and wrapping those things up. So I would venture to say for inaugural season, it was successful. And with that, sir, that concludes staff report. I'll take any questions.
Any questions for the director? All right, thank you. I will go on to old business. Item A is the CIP Go Bond Project update. Director Mustang.
Thank you, sir. This first item on the agenda, I wanted to present to the board just to stay at the forefront of all the great things that we're able to do and that we are doing, and the importance that you guys bring to the table for us to be able to do these projects. So really, there's not much to say. I could spend all night talking about each one individually. I just wanted to give you a list and highlight what they are. These are projects, this list is projects that we currently are in place, are scheduled within our own CIP program to be started next year, this FY17, which as of last night passed council with second read. Projects from the GO bond that were passed in April, you're all aware of. And as of last night, additional projects that the council has designated funds for. So that's what all of this is. I would like to make note on page 4 of this report, proposed projects subject to council approval. As of last night, 2 changes were made to these projects. The outdoor fitness equipment was removed in its entirety. It is no longer there. And $100,000 was designated toward trail lighting. Specifically what that is for, whether it's actual installation or a study, has yet to be determined, but $100,000 has been designated towards lighting of the trails. Ultimately, given that, I didn't do the math, but just as the summary says, there's over $7.5 million worth of projects in play that have either started or will start within the next 12 months. And I've been in Raymore a long time, stayed here a while, left, come back. Several of you have lived here longer than I've worked here. I've never seen anything like it. And it's good to be a part of it, and you should be excited and proud to be a part of this as well. So hang on, because it's going to get real busy real quick. And that concludes staff report, sir.
All right, thank you. Any questions? I'll ask that. None? All right. Item B is the disc golf course signage.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Mustang.
So as I just reported, all our CIP projects that were in play, the first item on the list that is a current project is the disc golf course at Recreation Park. And you guys have all been a part of that process. It has been a park board driven project where staff has installed. And what we'd like to do, something that I announced this time last year, a little later last year, was that we wanted to kind of prolong that until we knew what was going to happen with the activity center as far as the signage. We've worked with Mr. Eastwood as far as location on alternate pins. We feel like we've gotten to the point now where I need your direction to move forward with the signs. We know that we have the layout of the activity center, so we basically can address any changes in the course as it stands now to accommodate where that facility is going to be. We talked about signage a couple months ago this summer. I've enlisted the help of with Eric's recommendation, one of the local Kansas City guys who, from everything I can tell, is one of the best in the region as far as this particular project is concerned. He's given us a draft of what the signage would look like. From this point forward, this would be myself and Mr. Parker working together to finalize the distances and really cater these signs to our course. What I'm looking for tonight is your approval to go ahead, deem the project by and large, substantially complete so that we can move forward with these signs, get this purchased and installed, and have a groundbreaking kind of opening ceremony thing early next spring when the weather's nice and over as we've done this. I realize there are a couple things left to do, but those things that we can do simultaneously as the signs are getting purchased, those aren't things that we need to wait to have the signage complete. So that's why we're at this point tonight. And with that, I've provided an example of what each individual sign would be. Within this also includes the post, so it comes as one unit, and then all we need to do is install that. One thing to keep in mind, it is above the price threshold, so we will have to 3-quote this, even though Mr. Parker has donated his time to give us this design. We still have to 3-quote this by the procurement policy. With that, I'd love to entertain any questions and open discussion on this item.
Eric.
So the alternate pin and tee box is 5. It's not 4 as listed. 4 goes out and 5 is along the sidewalk.
I thought 4 was on next to the monument sign that we were going to put a new and avoid the clip of the building. I thought that was 4. And 5 is on the north side of the new activity center.
That's correct, but it's, right now, I think it'll interfere. 5 will.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, we can take a look. Either one, if we need to move either one, or we can address that because it's going to have to be moved depending on the building.
The T-pad 4, possibly, depending, I didn't think it was interfering with it. Maybe in the future, if it got expanded.
During expansion, it may be, yeah.
That is
That's where we
why,
may have to do it, but at this point with the first phase, I don't think it did interfere with it. Now, 5 is the one that I think might interfere with it more. So we talked about moving it on the other side of closer to the park house.
I think the idea, excuse me for interrupting, I think the idea for doing T-Box 4 is to not have to redo the signs in a couple years if the expansion was to occur. At this point, who knows? The signs may be good for 10 years before expansion ever occurs, or and it may be 3 years. I don't know. We just, if it was going to happen, we might as well do it now, buy the signs once and be done. But the way I understood the discussion was that there would be 2 tee boxes, and then we would just remove one at expansion.
I see. That makes sense.
So it would have 2 options for a tee box.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm thinking there's something else I was going to say. I forgot what it was.
All right, anyone else have questions regarding this? Eric?
In terms of the project, I think it's this will be the finishing touches. There's a couple things we talked about as well. Trees is one, so this is always something I would like to see more trees, because we lost a few and this and that, and there's a couple that we may lose. So we've talked about that as far as the project. Where does this put this amount within the budget? What does that put the final at in terms of what the project was? Any idea? Like how much is left in the budget?
I don't know, sir. I'm sorry. I should have had that information. I can provide that for you. There's a substantial amount of money left. What we plan on doing is the remainder of the balance to purchase the chemicals for the weed kill and the poison ivy kill, the mulch to wrap around, and we will stockpile the flags and the components. So we'll use the bulk of the budget to stockpile supplies for several years of maintenance. That was the intent.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Any other questions? All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion for the final design purchasing of the disc golf signage.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the final design and purchase of the disc golf signage based on the sample provided.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, the motion's been made and second. Any discussion? All right, at this time, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor? Passes. Thank you. Now we're on to new business. Item A will be the volunteer packet and application. Mr. Mustang.
Thank you, sir. I'll call on Superintendent McLean for this item.
Thank you, sir. As we've been going through policies and procedures, and we've been bringing up policies for annual review, staff brought this one to my attention and felt the need that it needed to be addressed because we have seen some changes in how we are gathering volunteers. We discussed a little bit in work session that the A+ has changed their qualifications, and so there is a need for volunteers in this department, especially with our events, especially the 4th of July. The city had a volunteer packet and application process that was created in 2008. It had not been updated with our current events, and so what I have done and are requesting the board's approval is that I pulled out the specific sections regarding Parks and Rec, which was a good majority of this policy, and we have made it specific to our current needs, our current desires of what we ask of our volunteers. It updated the application for the background checks because that was not current on the information that we are required to give to our screening company. So we have updated it. I've attached it in this packet. So upon the approval of the board, we would implement this policy and this packet and application immediately for any volunteers that would be willing to help and assist with our events and any other, even park cleanup or anything. So this would be the process that we would go through.
Any questions? I need to give you all a moment to catch up on the packet. Okay. Figured some people were reading it.
There is a lot of information on there. Sorry.
Is a
there
lot
is,
a
but
lot, pardon me, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I didn't mean to interrupt
No.
either. Sorry.
Is a lot of this information, though, is from the previous 2008 application?
Yes.
We just updated the events.
Yes.
Okay.
I followed the same protocol that we've been doing with the policy review. I pulled this one. Like I said, Coordinator Keith is the one that brought it to my attention. She uses it mostly. And with the growth of the events and things to that nature, she pointed out some major things that even event-wise we weren't doing anymore, and that there was some very outdated information on there. So I sat down, we highlighted those, and then I pulled and extracted the specific park related. It still follows city policy, and there are like the criminal background checks and all of that stuff. So everything still falls in line with city protocol and what we do for our coaches and things to that nature. So we still have a separate coaches application that we currently use, but for any other volunteers, especially if somebody needs to do community service, we have to run these checks and have to have certain amount of background information on why they need the, or have been mandated to have community service hours.
Okay, thank you. Once more, I'll ask, are there any questions? Yes, Sheldon.
John, what's typically the turnaround time to receive an application for someone to be cleared to participate? Do we have a standard, or does that just depends?
3 days.
3 days? Okay.
3 days, usually we have the background screening back. So within that time frame of having that information back, we can notify them, and that gives us, while the screening is being done, that gives us time to coordinate and plan what they're going to be volunteering to do.
Okay, Mr. Musty.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to throw a monkey wrench in here for Mr. McLean, but as of last night, with the passage of the new budget, there is a program in place through the police department to an educational component and a community service component through the police department that will incorporate some community service that may affect our department and this program. So we leave these programs up for interpretation and for adjustment as needed. So as Chief Zimmerman researches that program and works with the Cass County Juvenile Department, there may be some updates that we want to bring as a board to make sure we can either cooperate with that if we choose to do so, or may not need to do some of these things that we put in place because it's in conjunction with the police department already. So you may see this again within the year as their new program unfolds, but that was something that has just come in play as of last night. So just a quick update for that.
All right. Jenny?
So I asked them, can we accept this packet and this brochure, an application, this volunteer packet and application as is, and do we need to revisit it when that time comes, or how do we move forward with this?
Mr. Mustine?
Staff would recommend approval of this particular program as presented, and we will bring this back to you as it needs to be updated.
Yes, Jenny?
Then I'd like to move that we accept the packet and the volunteer application.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made and seconded for approval of the volunteer packet and application for implementation. Discussion? All right, none. All those in favor? All right, passes. Thank you. All right. Item B is the Hawk Ridge Park Improvement Design, RFQ. Mr. Mustine.
Thank you, sir. I'll take this one. I have provided the board with a packet, an agenda item packet regarding the Hawk Ridge Park RFQ. I apologize that this was given at the last minute here, but we did interviews up until yesterday, so it's one of those things where timing's always a factor, and I gave a place saver within the packet, and should any of the public wish to have that, we have additional copies available here. So with your permission, sir, I'd like to outline the proposal or the discussion and seek a recommendation from the board.
Please proceed.
So in September, we basically posted an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications to help assist staff with the design and the engineering of the projects associated at Hawk Ridge Park. Those projects have been identified in our CIP program that was approved last November and again approved this year. Those projects are still in play. Our GEO bond projects that were voted and approved on in April, and associated projects with the agreement through the Missouri Department of Conservation, the CAPS agreement. The board has seen that in recent meetings, and that is now with the State Department in Jeff City. So this particular RFQ involved all those projects. It's a fairly large project, and it will build out Hawk Ridge Park, I would say by and large, most of the master plan out of that park. So this is a large thing that we needed assistance with, which is why we went with an RFQ process. What that means is we request proposals or qualifications. We do a short list of firms that we would like to interview, and then we bring in for an interview panel. We conducted those interviews over the past week. 2 interviews were last week. 1 interview was this Monday. Each person on the interview panel has a standard scoring sheet in which we score those interviews, those firms within those interviews, as fairly as possible using the same standard form. And then at the end of the interview process, we compare forms, discuss, and make a recommendation. So I've outlined that process, and once that recommendation is made, we go to the purchasing agent within the finance department. She opens up the sealed envelope of the pricing scheme. At that point, we can determine whether that price is within the range that we expect, or if we need to move on to another firm. We conducted the interviews. We had a unanimous decision on that firm. We opened the pricing, and it was within the range that we were looking for. And at this point, staff would like to recommend to the board that we move forward with the negotiation with Confluence Landscape Architect for the projects at Hawk Ridge Park. I would like to make note that at this point, what the board is recommending is staff's giving your approval for us to move forward to negotiate a final price and to take a contract before the council, because only the council with the mayor can approve a contract of this size with the council's approval. So we need your approval to move forward based on our recommendation, and then we will begin the negotiations. And with that, I would answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for the director? All right, this is not a formal vote, but it's simply just a permission of the board to proceed, right?
It is formal in the fact that you have reviewed the packet, you have accepted the recommendation of the staff to move forward. So yeah, we do need a formal vote of the board.
All right, then I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with Confluence and follow staff's recommendation to move forward.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Do we have any discussion on the motion? All right, none. All those in favor? It passes. All right. Anything further on that particular agenda item?
No, sir. We will move forward. We will contact the representatives of Confluence tomorrow. I would like to make note that we are in the process of the reference checks. We've got 1 out of the 3 completed today. Ms. Nab will finish those tomorrow. Messages were made, but the one that we have returned is there should be no issues. We're very confident that we've selected the right team to work alongside of us. We're excited about working with these folks and can't wait to get started. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. All right, item C is the November-December meeting schedule. Traditionally, we do not meet December due to holidays. I believe our meeting is scheduled for in November for 22nd, the traditional 4th Tuesday of the month. Pardon me.
Was it 27th on December, or November?
No, well, November meeting is 22nd, isn't it? Yes. All right, and normally would be meeting in December on the 27th. However, I believe that's probably won't be necessary, since traditionally we don't meet on December as a result of it being in the middle of the holidays. So at this time, is there any, I'd like to have a motion that we meet in on November and 22nd, and do not hold the December's meeting. I'll entertain a motion for that unless there's discussion.
I'll make a motion that we continue with the November 22nd for regular scheduled business meeting, and then cancel the December 27th business meeting.
Second.
All right, I have a motion second for holding the November meeting on the 22nd and not holding the December meeting at all. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor? All right, passes. Thank you. What we have next is public comment. Unfortunately, we don't have anybody in attendance. I'm going to go to board member comment. I'll start on my right. Jenny?
I just want to thank you guys for doing all the work you've done to put together and doing the interviews, for researching the RFQ. And this looks like a really good group that you've picked out. So thank you for your time.
All right, Sheldon?
I have a question more than a comment. At last night's city council meeting, there was a discussion of the first plat of the Huntley West section, and there seemed to be some confusion or unawareness of what park was going in there. Is it premature for us or the department to suggest our ideas?
I would say, although we can discuss and make suggestions of what we would like, it is premature in the fact that it is not ours and it must be dedicated before we can make a final determination.
Okay, because some city council members seem well prepared to make some proposals that might get in the way of our ideas. We can discuss that as it occurs.
That is accurate, sir. Ultimately, it is dedicated to the park board as parkland. Now, as you guys all know, that the city council has final say over things of that nature, but it will be given to the park board, and I would anticipate, not that I want to speak for the council, but this council seems intent on allowing the park board to do their work and because you've earned that right and that trust. So I would hesitate to make any assumptions at this point, but at some point it should be dedicated to us to make those recommendations.
All right. Michelle?
Happy Halloween, everyone. Be safe. The weather's going to be wonderful, it looks like. Every time we have a meeting and I see the packets the few days before we come to the meeting, I'm just continually amazed what you guys do with the amount of staff that you have. I work in healthcare and we don't get along as well as you all do and work together like you all do, and it just amazes me all that you do for the community with the few number of employees. So thank you. I know it's a lot of work. You're here way more than Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, 8 to 5. You're here tonight. Nathan, city council Mondays. I mean, it's just a lot of work, so thank you. And go Cubs.
Jim?
Yeah, nice job on the packet here. You did a lot of work, definitely on the Hawk Ridge RFQ. Also want to mention that we just wrapped up our Raymore United competitive fall soccer season. Shout out to Coach Bartow. They is U11 undefeated, I believe. They went undefeated. So our U14, not quite, but a lot of progress. We had 15 out of 17 kids move from park and rec into competitive, and they played their hearts out. And Councilman Holman and Adam from our Challenger, our team trainer, saw huge growth from these kids from the first day of practice to the last. So they battled it out, and good shout out to them. So yeah, looking forward to maybe the future. So.
All right. Eric?
Yeah, on October 1st, we had the first PDGA disc golf tournament hosted by Maverick Disc Golf Club or company or whatever Rob calls his company. Want to thank staff. It was the park looked fantastic. Everything went off without a hitch. We had 67 players, which for a first-time tournament is great. Max filled is probably 90. Weather was great. Everything was, like I said, went really smooth. That morning there were tons of soccer games going on and baseball going on, but it didn't really impact the tournament at all. So everything went really smooth. I want to thank everyone for it, and I had a lot of fun in it. So thanks again.
Steve?
I just want to say to you guys, as a citizen who's lived here 19 years, the progress of Parks and Rec over the last 2 years has been phenomenal. The thinking outside the box, that's all I ever hear about. So to Steve's park crew, you guys and everything, to come outside the box and do things new is just incredibly awesome, and it moves us forward, and we're very appreciative of that, so thank you.
I want to add that yesterday I attended the dedication for the fort. I was suitably impressed with that. I almost wish I had my second childhood. I think I passed it already. But, well, don't laugh. I was actually thinking about climbing. But it was just marvelous how Lowe's volunteered, how they assigned people that gave so much and worked so well, and more importantly, how the city staff, park staff, actually worked with them. Partnership is important, and apparently with Lowe's, it's an excellent one because it's turned out an excellent product. I mean, that playground is, like I said, I almost wish I have. Well, no, actually, I don't. I'll probably get there soon enough. But the thing about it is, it's just shows how much staff is dedicated to it and how much work they're putting into it, and it's a tremendous amount of work. And John's programs, Mr. McLean's programs are basically doing a great job. Mr. Rulo is planting more trees and doing a great job on keeping the grounds excellent. Obviously, Eric's comment about the disc golf course being in great shape is quite evident of that. And Mr. Mustine is obviously holding it all together, and the CIP project's coming up. I see a great future for this, and this city's going to benefit greatly from all this. You know, I'm excited about it, and I just can't wait to see what more happens in the near future. And I don't mind getting money in the process. Thank you all. All right, with that, I'm going to ask for adjournment.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
All right, motion has been made to adjourn and second. All those, there's no discussion on this. All those in favor? All right, meeting's adjourned.